So this is the first mechanism in producing high performance video content, and this is an introductory video on expertise, mastery, and distinction. And the first thing I want you to know about this particular mechanism is that it is all pre-production work. Before you step in front of a camera, you have to have this nailed down. And it is the most important out of the four, and that's why I'm starting with it. So at the heart of expertise, mastery, and distinction is a well-crafted message. And when you have a well-crafted message, it brings out your passion, enthusiasm, and excitement. Your message comes across much more compelling when you have these three areas. And when you're clear on your message, you're more willing to put up with the hard work to get it out there. You're more willing to to deal with the learning curves and the challenges that come with taking on a new skill set, such as overcoming performance anxiety. It is something that people struggle with, and if you have a well-crafted message, you're more likely to deal with it. Also, it'll help you deal with learning new software and hardware and the integration of the two, which can be quite confusing at times. To have a well-crafted message, you must have clarity in these 5 areas. To begin with, you need to know who your avatar is, or your ideal audience. And that's everything from the gender that you want to reach, what their age is, or their age range is, what their socioeconomical background is. You need to know that, if they're blue collar or white collar, what their education is, and maybe you need to know what part of the world they live in. And all this is very important with being able to get clarity in crafting your message, because it will really help you define who you're talking to and who you're not talking to, which is also very important. Something else that's extremely important is knowing what your core values are and how they come across in your videos. And this is so important, I'm actually going to be talking about it more later in this particular module. From there, you have to know what your rewards or your selfish payoffs are, and why are you doing videos. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's likely not for money. Maybe what your reward is, or your selfish payoff is that you want people to think you're great. You want people to basically go, wow, that's amazing. If that's what it is, whatever, it doesn't really matter, but you have to know what that is. And you have to get honest with yourself, because if you don't have that, it's going to be hard to reflect a good, clear message. The fourth mechanism is, what kind of action do you want your audience to take? What's your intention of making videos? What do you want them to do? And you have to know that in advance. Maybe you want them just to basically hit like, or maybe you want them to eventually buy products or services from you. Well, you have to know that before you start doing videos, and that's why it's pre-production. Now, all these are really important, but the most important out of all of them is, what is your single core message, or your fundamental message? What are you always talking about? And it doesn't matter if you do one video or multiple videos or 3,000 videos. You have to know what your core message is, and it's really about what is the underlying theme about what you're talking about. My core message, either when I'm working one-to-one with someone or doing videos, is about clarity. And if you watched my introductory video, you heard me say that I bring clarity to people and processes. Another tagline I have used in my businesses is, I guide people through the fog of uncertainty, which is another way of saying I bring clarity to people. So you have to know what your core message is, and it's very important, because your videos will be more engaged and compelling, and they'll just be better. So once you have a well-crafted message, all 3 other mechanisms are much easier. And so we go back to this particular model, and I want you to think of clarity in your core message and your intent is the gas in your tank. And it is your drive, your staying power, your endurance. I'm not going to kid you and tell you that making videos is easy. It can be a grind at times, especially if you're doing take upon retake upon retake. And if you have clarity in your core message and what your intent is, then everything else is much easier. And it's why you need to have it, because it pushes you through. It helps you get through the other mechanisms that you're going to have to learn on, or some that you might need to master. So that's the introductory video of this mechanism. Now we're going to talk about expertise.